All right.
Got everybody here? Okay. So, has everybody accepted Jesus Christ?
As our Lord and Savior.
Mhm. Pretty much, almost everybody? Awesome. So that means everybody has their own story. And each one of you, it's a very personal story. My story is good, and it also is sad. So just bear with me, because some of it is very hard for me to tell. It's very painful. There's some parts that I probably will start crying, and so just bear with me, okay? So I grew up with 3 brothers, one older than me, and him and I both were adopted. So we had 2 different, totally separate parents. And so my mom and dad, they decided to adopt my brother first, and then I came along. Then they got a divorce, and then she remarried and had 2 of her own children. So I probably was about 7 when we're outside playing, and here comes a bus full of kids just getting dropped off at different homes, and this guy pops out and goes, "Hey, you guys go to church?" And we're like, "No," and we don't even know what church is. And he goes, "Well, can I talk to your parents?" And we're like, "Yeah, go ahead. You're in the house." So they're like, "Hey, we pick up kids on Sunday. Would you like to have us come and pick up your kids and go to Sunday school?" And they're like, my parents were like, "Yeah, for 3 hours, you can have them." So that's when I started going to church, around 7 years old. And that was the best time in my entire life. Was our Sunday school teacher was so amazing, so loving. As soon as you got there, man, they would just grab a hold of you, give you lots of hugs, and "I'm so glad to see you." And it feels so good when someone is so glad to see you. And they had games like you guys do, and they were telling me about this guy named Jesus. And I'm like, "Who is this Jesus?" And they're like, "Well, let me tell you who he is. He loves you so much." And they have this big picture of Jesus and all these children all sitting around. Some of them are on the lap, and they're just like in awe, and just the look in their eyes, they were just listening to his stories, and you can tell that he was just loving them. And I was like, man, I want to be just one of those kids. If I could just jump in that picture, I would it would just be awesome. And Monday through Saturday was kind of not so good, but Sunday, I looked forward to Sunday, going to Sunday school. And even going to the church, and even at 7 years old, it's kind of scary, when you're little and you're going up there and you're listening to the pastor. A lot of things you have no idea what he's saying. But one day after, it was probably about, I would say probably a half a year of listening, I decided to go all the way up to the front of the pew. And even now I'm pretty shy, and not that day, I have no idea why I did that, but I took my brother and marched right up, right in front. Just looked at the pastor and like, I'm here. And started to listen, and it just broke down and went, I need Jesus. Now I know what Jesus is. And it was a Baptist church. And they said, okay, after the end of the sermon, he says, hey, anybody want to accept Christ as your Savior? Come on forward. And as a shy kid, I just raised my hand, and I hear this giggle behind me, and the pastor comes up to me and he says, you want to accept Christ as your Savior? And I went, yes, I do. And within a couple weeks, I remember getting baptized, and that was awesome. And I don't know if you guys have ever been baptized yet, but man, what a feeling. It's been so long, because, I'm a lot older than 7. So, it's like when you get put down in the water and you come back up, it's like all the heaviness is gone. And it's like your whole new life. It's just like a new beginning. And you swear you can just fly. And it's amazing, that feeling. So, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because I cannot see. So, anyway, I could stop there and say everything was great, wrap it up in a nice little bow and say, there it is, that's my story. But that's not what the whole story is. My life was mostly dark and painful. There was a lot of mentally, physically, and sexually abused child. And most of you are old enough to know what that is. And so I'm just going to give you just some highlights of my life so you can understand why I asked Jesus just to let me die. And I want to be in heaven with him. I want to be with Jesus. I want to be in that picture with all the little children. I want to be one of those kids and crawl in his lap and have him love me. So, my older brother and I seemed like we always got in trouble for anything, even with my younger brothers. And you probably know, if you guys have siblings, you kind of blame it on somebody else. And my older brother and I got the wrath. Her own 2 children were angels to her. And my older brother and I, being adopted, we became like a maid, a servant in our own home. I learned how to be invisible. If there was a such thing as a kid ninja, I probably was like that. I learned to be totally quiet, walk into a room without being seen, heard, and walk back out. Did not want to be noticed, because the more I was noticed, the more I got yelled at. One of my punishments, for some reason, my older brother and I, if we didn't tell the truth, or she thought, we weren't saying something that she wanted to know, she would lay us down, straddle us, put her arms down like this, cover and sit on us, cover our nose and our mouth, and say, I will let go until you tell me what I want to hear. Now when you have your mouth covered and your nose, you can't breathe. And so you're gagging, you're struggling, you have things flashing in your head, you don't understand why this is happening. That was something that she did all the time. And there was times where I felt like I was just gonna pass out. So, another thing was the bar soap. Anybody have had bar soap in your mouth? Tastes like crap, right?
Yeah.
Disgusting. Well, it wasn't just here, put it in your mouth and hold it there. It was grinding it into your teeth, holding it in your mouth to the point where your tongue is so swollen and it splits. Your tongue will actually split because of the chemical that's in the soap. It's about a week of you taste the soap. It's not fun. Have you guys ever been shoved in a dryer? I have. Oh my gosh, you have too?
My brothers used to do it.
Oh, did they turn it on? Because it wasn't like a roller coaster, I can tell you that. Did they turn it on?
No, they just like put me in there and start like spinning it around with like the side thing.
Yeah, it's not fun.
But I just like stay in one place the whole time.
It's pretty scary. It's not fun. Yeah, not fun at all. Anybody scared of spiders?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
No, actually, I found it.
Well, that's good because I'm
I
still.
want a spider when I grow up, and snakes.
Well, my spider, I wasn't until, I probably was about around 8 or 9. And the pools, the bug pools, they had, well, back in my day, they had to dig a big hole. So it was about 5 feet deep. And they didn't have the pool set up yet. They just had the hole, and it was full of bugs, and there's spiders in it, and we used to call them skeeters, little bugs, floating little spiders. And for something that I don't know what it was, I think my brother ate the last Pop-Tart, and he blamed it on me, and for some reason I was the guinea pig, and so they were like, she did it. And I was like, no, I didn't. And for some reason my mom thought, nope, you did it. If you don't tell me, we're gonna pick you up and throw you in that hole. Now, this was at night. And of course, they're telling me all these big spiders are in it, so I'm really getting scared. When your parents tell you a bunch of stories and you just start believing them. So my dad picked me up. My dad's 6'3". Picked me up over his head and tossed me in. And I screamed and screamed and screamed. And I had bugs and spiders and mud and everything on me. So from that day on, I had been scared to death of spiders. The other thing that they did was a wooden spoon for a punishment. I think that was one of her favorite things to do. Instead of smacking you on the butt, which I believe God gave you a kid's butt to smack, but mine was we had to put our hands out. And she would have a ottoman in front of her, and we would lay our hands out. And smack them until they were blistered. Until we couldn't even close our hands because it was so bad. Or she would make us go on top barefooted and smack our feet. The other thing was my slapping her face. That was more on me, not my older brother. She did this through until I was 18. She would slap my face so bad that every blood vessel in my nose burst. So I would have bloody noses constantly. You would just tap my nose and it would bleed. Now you know why I asked Jesus, please, take my life. I don't want to be here. I can't deal with this anymore. I know she's gonna kill me. She's gonna hold my nose and my mouth, and I won't be able to breathe, and I'm gonna die. But let me go and be so I don't want the pain anymore. I don't want to see my brother getting hurt anymore. So one night, I went to bed, and I was just praying to Jesus. And I remember the lady, my Sunday school teacher, said, God will always be there. You pray, and you ask him, and he will be there. So I said, okay. Oh, Jesus, please. I need you now more than anything. I don't want to be here. I can't do this anymore. Next thing I remember, I am talking to Jesus. I see his beautiful face. And I love him so much, and he grabbed a hold of me, and he said, my child, you are my child, and I love you. I will take you out of all of this pain, and I'm going to give you a choice. Come, you can come here and be with me, or you can stay and I will show you your life. He showed me that I got married. He showed me I had 3 babies. I got to see their faces. I can still see them. I used to be able to remember a little more, but I don't. It's kind of foggy. I remember no pain. Everything was just peaceful where I was. And he was holding my hand. And he said, this is your life. You can make this choice. You can come with me, and you'll be here in heaven with me. And I looked over and I saw those babies. And I said, I want to raise them like they should be raised. I'm going to give them the love that I never got. I want those babies. So, next thing I remember, I'm laying and waking up, and I'm in pitch dark. It is cold in my room. And I'm like, what the heck? I was in heaven with Jesus, and now I'm in my room. And I'm like, I think I changed my mind. And I'm starting to move around, and I move my hand, my left hand, and I can feel my stomach. I'm cold. It was just freezing in my room. And I was trying to get my right hand, and I'm like, where the heck is my right hand? And I'm starting to get scared. And I'm like, Jesus, what happened? Where I don't feel my hand, and I feel this hand He's holding my hand, and I am laying in my bed, and my arm is straight up. And my hand is wrapped around his. And it's warm. I have no weight on my arm. It's light as can be. And he said, you'll be okay. You'll always have me there with you. I'll always protect you. Just call on my name. And I slowly brought my arm down and put my hand on my stomach. And it was warm, and the rest of my body was just cold. And I just held on to that, knowing that Jesus is wanting, it was always there. And I remember the love of him saying, I'm always going to be there. All you have to do is call me, ask for me. And that's something that you guys, no matter what is going on in your life, you guys can just say, Jesus, I need you. I need you now. And he is there. He'll always be there. Another thing is, he said, I'll never be alone, that he will protect me and not to be afraid. Not to be afraid. I know you guys, it's really easy to be afraid. Life is scary. But there's always hope in Jesus. His name is so powerful. And you can get through anything through him. Amen. So I went through life always talking to Jesus, asking for help, comfort, and peace. And he's always been there for me. The best thing that could ever happen to me was that Sunday school teacher. Because if it wasn't for her, to show me that love and to say, let me tell you about Jesus, I would never known. I don't know if I would be here. But that today, even and through my life, I have been a Sunday school teacher. It's just turned around, and that helped me so much that I want to be here to help kids. And not just the little kids, everybody that needs help. And sometimes you have no idea what people are going through, because probably every one of you had no idea what I just have told you. I mean, you probably thought, oh, she had a good life, probably, but and those were just little highlights, you guys. I could probably count on one hand, probably maybe 4 memories that are good out of the 18 years. So coming full circle, being a Sunday school teacher, helping here is amazing. And I love all of you guys. And if you guys know of anybody who's going through something their life is so hard, give them grace. Give them a hug. Or find somebody to say, hey, I know somebody that you can talk to. You're in a safe place. Because those people, they need that. Yeah. I know I needed that. And for some reason, after all this happened, probably about a couple weeks later, after I got done having my experience with Jesus, this old couple, came knocking on the door and go, "Hey, your mom home?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's right here." And they came in and they said, "Hey, can I talk to you about Jesus?" And for some reason, my mom was like, "Okay." And within about a week, that was the last time my mom would throw us down and jump on top of us and hold our breath in our nose. And so I don't know who those people were, where they came from, but I think Jesus sent them, because my parents never did that to me again.
Wow.
One of the most positive things that come out of my childhood was knowing that I had Jesus and I couldn't do it without him. But I think all the bad situations that happen, sometimes we can turn those into good and share that with others. Because sometimes there's things that happen in your own personal life that you really feel like you can't explain or talk to. But when it happens to you, it's a lot easier to say, "I've been there. Let me help you." So I'm going to fast forward from childhood to married, had my kids. My son was probably about 13 years old. And then had my youngest was about 5. And my son, when we were on the boat on the Lake Almanar, and he's jumping wakes on a boogie board. You all know what a boogie board is. You're strapped in with your knees strapped like this, and a long board, and jumping the wakes. And I'm like, "Oh, I can do that. My son can do it. I can do this." And so my husband at the time was going way too fast, and I jumped up with a wake, and then I nosedived. And I felt like I got pushed by some evil force, and I smacked down into the water, lost consciousness, kind of came to the board. I don't know where it went. And my whole left side is numb. I can't feel it. I can't move it. I can't move my arm. I can't move my leg. And for some reason, my neck, I can't pull my neck up. It's straight down. I have my life vest on. And finally the boat came running, zooming around, and my son's like, "Mom, you okay?" And I'm trying to kick with one leg and my arm, and I'm trying to push the water down so I could breathe. And I said, "I'm drowning." And he jumps out, grabs a hold of me, and they just yank me into the boat. And I said, "I can't feel a thing. Can't feel anything in my leg. I can't feel anything in my arm." So we zip across the lake, and they call for an ambulance. They come, they put a neck brace. They cease-fire me on a backboard. They call in low, because of course Chester, they're like, we don't have what it takes to take care of you. We think you broke your neck. Great, get me to the helicopter then. Just get someone to help me. So I go to Inlow, had a beautiful helicopter ride, which they kept on telling me, "It's so beautiful." And I'm like, "Yeah, I see the top of the helicopter, the ceiling. I don't see anything. Thank you." And they're like, "How much have you drank?" I don't drink on a boat. I drink Sam's Choice Coke and I have water. I have kids. We don't drink alcohol. Okay. I get there, same thing. They ask me, how much were you drinking? And I'm slurring my words. So they think I'm drunk. I had a stroke. My first and second vertebrae slammed together. And they didn't realize that when you have a stroke, you start drooping in your face. And they took, your blood work up, and they're like, yeah, you have no alcohol. I could told you this. I don't drink. And they're like, they took x-rays, and they said, okay, we're gonna do all these x-rays. And by that time, my husband had to drive Lake Allenmore all the way to Chico. And so he got there, and then he called his mom and his sister that was in Vacaville, and they met us there. And I was in a room by myself, and I'm just praying, Jesus, you've never left me before. I really need you. How am I gonna help my kids? I need to help. I need to raise them. They need a mom. So my husband and his mom and sister came. The doctor comes in and says, I'm sorry, it looks like she broke her neck. We're gonna have to put a halo on her. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a halo is. Tell me what a halo,
It's a metal device that goes on your shoulders. It's got a big ring around your head with bolts that go in.
Yeah, and it screws it all in. So the doctor comes, pops open a baby pin, goes to my feet, and he goes like that, right up. That I did feel. I'm like, yup, feel it. And he goes, okay, that's good. He goes to my ankle, and now you guys, all I see is ceiling because I'm still on the backboard. I still have my neck brace on. All I see is ceiling and a light. And they said, we're gonna just scrape your right leg and then scrape your left leg, and you tell me what you feel. Okay. Well, he didn't scrape my left leg. He jabbed my leg all the way up to my hip and then down my arm. And he goes, do you feel any of that? And I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm really hoping you didn't hurt yourself when they pulled you into the boat. You might be paralyzed. Okay. And then I heard the other doctor said, no, my child, you'll be fine. You'll walk again. I'm like, phew, okay, that sounds good. And my husband is like, how the heck am I gonna handle the kids and work and take care of everything? And mom's crying, and I'm like, guys, okay, it's not that bad. The doctor said I'm gonna walk again, and they're like, no, he didn't. He said you probably broke your neck and you're gonna be paralyzed. No, the other doctor, there was 2 doctors. And mind you, all I see is ceiling. And they're like, no, there was 1. Well, you know what? That other doctor, that was Jesus. He didn't leave me alone. He stayed there. I heard him. I could have swore that was a doctor, but I heard him say, no, my child, you will walk again. So they put me in intensive care, and they said, well, we'll go through, tomorrow's another day. The nurse comes in and she goes, sweetie, I know you probably need to use the restroom. I'm like, yeah, I do, but you just help me get up. I'll walk over there. You're not supposed to be walking. Well, Jesus said I was gonna walk again. I'm gonna do it. So she goes, okay. I said, you go to church? And she goes, yes, I do. And then she goes, are you sure? And I said, you just take my left side. And I hobbled myself And she goes, can you walk the halls? I said, let's try. She got me up. I held on with my right hand. And I got my foot up. I wasn't walking on my foot. I was walking on my ankle. But I couldn't see that. And I still had my neck brace on. I pulled every muscle in my neck. I couldn't hold my neck up. I had that neck brace on for probably about a couple months. So after the miracle happened, they said you should be in critical, you should not be moving. And I said, yeah, but Jesus said I was gonna move. And I'm gonna move, I'm gonna do it. And they went, okay, this is a first for us. And I said, well, let me tell you about my Jesus. So after a week there, I got to come home, and it took me 6 months to walk by myself. Now, when you're in an accident like that, all of my nerves in my back, all the way around, were on fire. The nerves are right underneath your skin, and they burn like a match. It was very painful. But every day, I just reminded myself, Jesus said, I'm gonna walk. And I had a really sweet lady come to my door, and she goes, you don't know me, but I do massages. I heard of your accident at the grocery store. Go figure, it's Chester. So I was like, yeah, that happened. And I said, I'm having a hard time. I hurt everywhere. She goes, you get to my house and I'll work on you. It's okay. After that, it was just sessions. It was amazing. And I went, you know what, God? I want to be like that lady. I want to be a healer. So I got to heal. I got to be a massage therapist. And I got to do it for 17 years. God gave me a gift that I can feel pain. I can feel people's pain. I know exactly where it's at. I can hear people cry. Don't ask me why, that's one of my gifts. Yes, honey?
What do you mean by you can hear people?
I can hear, instead of them crying out loud, when they're crying inside of pain, I can hear that. Yeah. Sometimes. Sometimes it can get overwhelming. I got to help Jen and Dan, and they can testify to that.
Yep.
I pray that all of you guys will just keep Jesus in your heart, and anything that you guys come across, and no matter what it is, you guys, Jesus is awesome. Nothing is too big for Jesus.
Amen.
We might think it's too much, like I did when I was a little kid, and it went, I can't do this anymore. All he did is held out his hands. He grabbed a hold of me, and he's going to do the same thing for you. I'm just going to share a couple verses that helped me out through a lot of this pain that I had. Isaiah 49, 15 and 16. Can a mother forget her nursing child and have no compassion on the child she has born? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. This is Jesus. I will not forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palm of my hands. Every one of your names is written on his hands, in God's hands. Psalms 139, 13, 16. For you created me, my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Jesus knows your whole life, every bit of it. We can't hide anything. He's like, I know everything. So you can just basically, if there's something that we've done, you're like, yeah, I was bad. I did this. I am so sorry. And he's like, yeah, I know. And you're going to do it again. I'm just saying. And I could just hear him just saying that. I think God, he has a good personality. I swear. Look at the platypus. I mean, really. That is the most funniest looking animal. Psalms 27:10. For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will care for me. The Lord will care for me, no matter what. Psalm 74:23. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterwards you will take me into glory. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will hold you up with my righteous right hand. You know, the more I was looking up in the Bible, it's always talking about his right hand. And it was just kind of got to me as he was holding me. And what hand? It was my right hand. And when I was laying in the hospital, it was my right hand he was squeezing. That is just, to me, that's just amazing. So that is my story.